Now for a glimpse of ag around the world, there could be a new top buyer of U.S. ag goods this year as USDA expects China to fall to the #3 spot, and it's Mexico that could climb to the top spot. Canada could actually rise to #2. USDA's ERS's latest report on the outlook for agricultural trade points to a growing trade deficit. The U.S. ag trade deficit is expected to increase to $32 billion in 2024, an increase of $1.5 billion from February. China's expected to fall to $27.7 billion, which would take them to the third largest buyer of U.S. ag goods. But exports to Mexico are booming, rising $300 million this year to $28.7 billion. Some of that is thanks to record red meat exports to Mexico. But as Dan Holstrom, CEO of U.S. Meat Export Federation, tells us, that's in spite of a growing U.S. ag trade deficit overall. From growing demand at convenience stores to an expanding appetite for different cuts of red meat, Mexico has become the #1 importer of U.S. meat.
Total exports in April were almost 288,000 metric tons. This is the largest volume and value month for pork globally since 2021. And as you said, Mexico is one of the primary drivers. And we had a record month in April, both volume and value for the country of Mexico, which is really something when you consider the record last year that was set in October. This is really a good thing.
Dan Holstrom, CEO of U.S. Meat Export Federation, spent the week in Mexico City, Mexico last week. It was the Red Meat Trade Symposium, but also a chance to visit with the United States' top trading partner.
But the percentage of non-ham items being exported are increasing from the U.S. Pork shoulders, picnics from the shoulder, ribs, butts, loins. Loins are another big one. So this is a significant development. They're reaching out. They're expanding the merchandising opportunities, whether it's retail or food service, looking at some of these other cuts.
USMEF says in April, U.S. pork exports reached the highest volume and value since May of 2021, and U.S. beef exports hit a 10-month high. That growth was fueled by Mexico, with pork exports up 14% year over year.
We're hitting on all cylinders in the food service sector. That has been going on for more than a year post-COVID, and it continues to be the case. You look at the retail sector, broad-based growth there, convenience stores.
For a country known for buying mostly hams, Holstrom says that demand is also changing.
And we can't forget about variety meats, which is important not only on the pork side, but the beef side as well. Mexico is one of the largest destinations in the world for pork and beef variety meats. And a lot of segments within Mexico, the center of the plate item is not pork loin or beef ribeye. It is variety meats like tripe. So we've got to keep that in mind.
As Mexico buys more volume, when it comes to beef, it's coming at a higher price.
It wasn't that long ago, you'd think of Mexico as really as a price shopper on beef. Prices got too high, they just would back off. That is not the case. I mean, the cutout goes higher. You've got chuck roll prices that are pretty high, and they continue to buy. And I think this is a sign that the consumer globally, even in Mexico, understands our value and our high quality, high grading value that we have on the beef side, which is unique in the global marketplace.
Mexico continues to ramp up demand, but how long can it last? Well, Holstrom says it's a question he asks weekly.
And I keep asking the question, when will this demand, when will this allocated gross income for food slow down, and we'll see the impact for beef and pork demand in places like Mexico? And I keep getting told by our staff that demand is still good. So I think there's a real good chance that things continue on this track. Will it be record breaking? It may or may not be, but in general, demand is very solid.
All right, that's a glimpse of ag around the world. When we come back, an exclusive interview with U.S. Ag Secretary Tom Vilsack. Chip's Corner is next.